Welcome to Bloodbath & Beyond. Today we review Benny Loves You. Hell hath no fury like a teddy scorned.
Written, directed, and starring Karl Holt. This movie's about Jack, a toy designer who's recently lost his parents and got a demotion at work, so in an attempt to turn his life around, he boxes up some of his old things and puts them in the basement. One of those old things is Benny, and now Benny is killing everyone that gets close to Jack.
He absolutely will not stop until you are dead.
What's this got to do with me?
This is a recommendation from Reese Jordan over on Patreon. It's a movie that we've had in the queue for quite some time. Just gave it a little bit of a nudge because we want to see puppets walk around and kill people. It's a thing we like, so we had to check it out. Now, what do we like?
I like that this movie just kicked it off with a bang. You knew it was gonna be no holds barred. They started off with a child death, and they're like, dolls are evil, and you knew what you were getting into.
I like Benny, and that's kind of important in a movie about a killer doll named Benny. He's hilarious. The way that he walks is like he's on strings. Well, arguably a little bit annoying because he repeats the same lines all the time. He is adorable.
He's one of those things when he's scared, you're like, oh, it's so cute. He's hiding behind the pillow because he doesn't want to watch the horror movie. Yet he'll just be so happy taking photos with corpses and stuff like that. He was badass because he fought other toys and robots. It was just fun watching him bounce around.
That's basically what he did. Just bounce around, killing people, occasionally dressed like a ninja.
Or a burglar. He liked to play dress up.
Could it be a midget in a costume?
Toys don't come to life when you treat them like shit.
The kills were nice in this film. There's not that many kills, so we're not going to talk about them, but what you do see is pretty graphic. You get to see a lot of cuts and intestines, tons of intestines.
What about biscuits?
For DNA?
No. For my tea.
I liked our cops. The humor was really hit or miss in this film, but for some reason, these two buddy cops, I was entertained when they were trying to solve this case.
I was not a fan. Now, what didn't we like? To piggyback off what John's talking about with the comedy, a lot of this is a miss for me.
That's new. I like it. Modern art. Exploding from the boundaries of the canvas.
And usually I like dark comedy and I like British comedy. Yet for some reason, everything seemed to just fall flat for me. And if you were to isolate these little videos and throw them on Twitter, people are gonna be like, oh, this is a must-see movie. But I personally did not find it that fun, despite what the movie's about.
The gags just felt like they didn't have a punchline, or the punchline came too late.
In a situation like this, just ask yourself, what would Prince do?
He shit himself.
Realise, he's not just a musician. He's multi-talented.
This film left a lot open to the imagination in the sense no exposition. We don't know the real reason why all of these toys are becoming possessed and killing people. The film does just focus on Benny, but there's a variety of dolls that also try to kill the characters, and there's no consistency in it, there's no reason behind it, and you get nothing.
And I think that a lot of the situations in this movie are exactly that. It's you know what the final shot looks like in your head. And how do we get there? Well, you just make it happen. You don't set anything up. You just, oh, we want Benny to look like a robber? Okay, well maybe he's just walking around the street and comes home with a robber mask on. Or he needs to look like a ninja. So he goes shopping randomly and dresses like a ninja. You have all of these different images on a storyboard and you're like, yeah, we don't need to have the build up to any of these scenes. Let's just do the scenes. Once you realize that, the thread of the story is kind of missing.
You're fine.
Unless we find his body.
Yes, you somewhat care for Jack's character, but at the same time, you also don't really care about Jack. I don't know. There's a lot to do with this story that I just didn't care about.
I absolutely hated the fact that they brutally killed a pug, and that was a 15-minute gag. Jack's making the pug look alive again, but it's actually dead, and eyeballs are hanging out. I hate this because I love pugs. It pissed me off.
Yes, there's the shock and awe moment of, oh my god, I can't believe you did that. And then they just continued to play the joke out. I just wasn't a fan of a lot of this movie, even though I should be. We talk about how much we like puppet movies and British comedy. We've talked about at length on this channel. And for some reason, it just didn't work here for us.
It's also funny because it's not really a puppet. It's a CG figure just bouncing around. And it looks fine. It's not what you want. I actually would have preferred a Muppet.
The CG is so damn evident too. I think the animation and everything for Benny was fine, but he never matches the scenes. He's almost always lighter than the surrounding elements. And it was very distracting. And even just the the really bad CG when they try and do like, oh, here's Benny driving down the road, or he's on top of a car. Like all these random scenes just like had shit CG. Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Despite having all the makings of something that I enjoy, I didn't really enjoy this. Benny himself is cute, and I did like some of the kills because we did have some practical blood and stuff, but Benny also annoyed me because he just kept saying the same things. And it just kept repeating over and over and over and over again. The movie itself, while it was fast paced because of like the quick editing, still felt boring. I just was not invested in the characters, so I didn't really care what was happening. And while I do think the production value was high and like some moments were cool, it was more of an effects showpiece than anything, and without backstory, it's hard to get behind what's going on, honestly. It's not the worst movie, and I know that some people will say it's a fantastic movie, and that's totally cool. It just didn't land with me, so I'm gonna give this 2 disco bots out of 5.
I was super excited for this film because I saw the trailer and I was like, man, I am hyped for this hilarious puppet killer. Though it was a puppet killer, it wasn't that hilarious. There were some moments that I was entertained by, but I wasn't laughing. Like, I'm sure people are gonna be laughing out loud at a lot of the situations here. An example is like the Richard stuff.
Give it up, the Richard.
It's Washard, actually. Yeah.
Someone's gonna find that absolutely hilarious, but it just came off a little too lame because it was overplayed. And that's a lot of the jokes here. They ran its course and it wasn't funny the first time. It's not gonna be funny the like 10th time around. But I liked Benny. It just sucks that it wasn't an actual puppet. But I'm not gonna knock it because they did it CG. Just kind of look forward to a puppet in a puppet killer movie. But the kills were good and it was fast paced. It's just, I want some exposition. It's one thing if Benny's the only one to be possessed. It's like, I'm watching Ted and it makes perfect sense, okay? Marky Mark loves his bear so much that it comes to life. But every kid in the world this is happening to, and like Benny's the first time we're exploring this? Come on. I would say it's worth a watch, but I'm not gonna rush out and watch it again. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 2 Beyblades out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, links are in the description. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay up to date with everything Bloodbath and beyond.